Richardson here with ASR Miniature Art, and I've got another grand tournament / convention review for you guys. This one was a local one, a local grand tournament for Age of Sigmar. It's the Taxman Cometh. It was hosted at my local store, Edmund Unplugged. And I know Age of Sigmar is a little bit of a different topic for us on this channel. It's something that I haven't played in a while, and I don't think I've ever done an actual video review over any of the GTs I've done. And that's okay. We'll kind of get into why I went to this event and my expectations and also what happened and whatnot. And it was in overall I had a good time, and that's kind of what these videos are about, or to kind of tell you guys about the event, whether it was worth going to, and whatever, right, and go from there. It was hosted by Nick, I believe it's Nick Wilson, one of our local guys from our local stores team, Sparkle Motion, which is the local Edmund Unplugged Age of Sigmar team. He hosted the event, and then the team overall hosted it, but he was the head TO and organizing the 2 days that it was. It was a 5-round event, Saturday, Sunday, on April's 4/13 and 4/14. It was a 2,000-point tournament. We had 30 people go. It was really, really fun. It was really big. We filled up the whole store pretty much playing the game. And I mean, everybody seemed to be having a blast. So let's kind of go into why I went, because especially since Age of Sigmar is a little bit of a foreign game for a lot of people that know me and have kept up with me the last few years. So I actually have a limited history with Age of Sigmar, or not a little bit of a history, I should say, with Age of Sigmar. So I played almost all of 2nd edition. I played a little bit of 1st here and there, didn't really get into it. Then because of COVID and whatnot, I played an absolute ton of 2nd because it was the only game that people could play. None of the other games people were still isolating and stuff, and that's totally fine. But post-COVID, it was the first game that I could really start getting games in and playing and enjoying the hobby again. So I played all of 2nd edition. And then I tried 3rd edition when it first came out, and I played for a couple months, did a tournament, did pretty well with the tournament, but just kind of fell off from the game. I just lost interest with it and ended up quitting and doing other games. And those of you who've known me in the recent years, that's when I started playing like Star Wars Legion, 40K, things like that. And so I have a history with AOS, but they had a few people drop from the event. It was supposed to be a 32-man event. They had 3 people drop last minute, and they were looking for sub-ins. And one of the other club mates and a good friend of mine, and Nick's also a good friend, but I'm good friends, I would say, with all the people on the team. I used to be on the team. One of the other club mates, Chase Lehman, had mentioned, he's like, hey, the first person to sign up, I'll cover their entry. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, I don't have anything going on this weekend. It's actually kind of a funny story, because I had nothing going on this weekend, and I thought, well, let's go play AOS. Like, I still have my Orc army, I still have my Iron Jaws, and if he was going to pay for the entry fee, I was like, why not? I have nothing else to do. Let's go play in this tournament, have some fun, roll some dice, and just goof off and have a good time. So that was really the big push for going. But then also, like I said, I really like a lot of the people in that community. I still chat with them every now and then, and then when I see them, it's always a nice celebration. And so I thought, I like these people. The community's really chill. I have all my stuff. It's not going to hurt me to go do the event. So, like, I missed out on a D&D session, which, yeah, I mean, that sucks. But, like, this is once a year. It's worth going to. So I messaged him. I reached out, and I said, hey, man, would it be a problem if I signed up? Are you guys going to be cool with that? Because I haven't played in a while. And they're like, hey, man, that sounds great. Like, we'd love for you to show up, have a good time. And that was really encouraging to know that they were fine with me showing up and playing. So, so I ended up going. Another reason I wanted to point out that I'm a little interested in it as well is because I know Age of Sigmar 4 is coming out. And Age of Sigmar, since I've quit playing 40K, Age of Sigmar has a really awesome community scene at my local store. They have people playing every week. They run tournaments constantly. And Age of Sigmar is a potential consistent game for me to go compete in and participate in. And I was like, okay, well, Age of Sigmar 4 is coming out, and I know 40K's 10th edition rules, the core rules were fantastic. So if Age of Sigmar gets a facelift like that, where the core rules end up being really awesome, and they get rid of a lot of the junk, like all the extra rules and crap that kind of ruin the game, if if they do some cleanup like that and make the game enjoyable, I really could see myself enjoying Age of Sigmar. Then on top of that, it's like I've kind of wanted to get a new Age of Sigmar army anyways, just because I love it from a hobby perspective. They're really fun minis to paint. I'm about to be done painting 40k stuff forever, as far as I can tell. Like I'm working on a knight army, and then once that's done, I don't really see myself doing another 40k army for a long time, if ever. And so it'd be cool to pick up Age of Sigmar and have a nice little hobby project to do every year and start working on an army and then really collect a whole force, a whole army, and then be able to play whatever I want. And I think Age of Sigmar is more rewarding for that because there's less kits per army, I feel like, than there is in 40k. And if you pick a really versatile faction and you own everything for that faction and enough to play it, I think you'll be able to play a lot of really cool lists at any point in the meta and be able to compete. So to me, that's something I've been considering, and then this was a nice little refresher and a push for me to go get to see the game played, connect with the people again, and that was kind of the real reason I went. That, I mean, again, it was no cost to me other than my time. So of course, as always, I'm going to try and put photos up as we go through this conversation, um, of my games and the event as a whole. And I'll talk about my games, but there's not really a lot for me to go into, and I don't quite have the in-depth grasp of understanding of what's going on either. And that might be a little bit of a foreshadow for how my games went. But I do want to point something out though, because I want to make sure that you guys listening understand something. So this is a review of the event, not of Age of Sigmar. And so I have definitely said things in the past about Age of Sigmar that I did not like, and there have been people that maybe in the community that I was not a fan of, and I want to just make sure I clarify that this review is not about Age of Sigmar. This review is about the event. It was an Age of Sigmar tournament, but I want to go over my games and my experience and give my verdict of the event, regardless of the game system that was being played. I chose to go play that game system, so it's not fair for me to damn the whole event based off that, right? So, and I just want to clarify that because I don't think it's fair for me to kind of have that tone maybe set, because I know I've talked about kind of how AOS is a little cheesy. It's very comboistic. And then also there's been some people that I've not really gotten along with in the community, and I have to say I feel like that's been remedied. There's been some people that, like, I mean, I was a lot younger when I played this game, and I'm not going to try to hide behind that. I made choices and I made statements, but I really enjoyed everybody who was at the event this weekend, and not only my opponents but everybody. And I feel like I really got to reconnect with some people that maybe I didn't have a good footing with before, and I'm excited to see where those relationships can go. And then also, I think I've got a better understanding of the game as a whole now, and an appreciation for it, and not in the sense of like I understand how to win, because I definitely still don't know how to do that. I don't know if I'll ever get to that point, but I think I understand what the game's trying to do, and the players that play it are trying to do when they play the game. It's a combo game, so you go into this combo mechanic game trying to not do that and hope that you can compete, and then get upset when you bang your head against the wall with a what I would consider fair army and you don't get the results you want. It's because that's just not that's not the nature of the beast. And so what I mean by all that is, like, I'll compare it to Magic the Gathering. So I have a pretty extensive history with Magic the Gathering, and I like to play the format Modern, which is like a larger pool of decks. It's cards from like 2010 or before, probably like 2005 to now, right? Something like that. I don't know. It's like 8th edition to now. But I like to play really fair decks, like value cards, just creatures that go hit people and removal spells. Well, Age of Sigmar is like a combo deck meta all the time. It's all about making. There are fair lists that can compete, but usually you need to be a combo army or a combo deck to compete in that kind of a meta. And if you're trying not to do that, you're going to have a negative experience. And I think that's been a lot of my past with it. I was competing, and I was trying to play these really cool fair lists that just wanted to hit people and fight and do tactics and stuff, and there were no combos, or the combos were very shallow, and that wasn't something I could really do well. and so I didn't really like the game for that. And that's not the game's fault. That's a decision I made. So I don't know. I think it's totally fair for me to be able to, especially having played several other games since then. I definitely think it's fair for me to be able to go back and take things back. I've changed my viewpoint on stuff. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that I think Age of Sigmar is the best game in the world? No. Do I think it's a really fun game? Yeah, I think it's a really fun game. And I think the people around it, the community around it, make it really fun as well. And this weekend was a great example of that. So, speaking of this weekend, let's talk about my games. So, this is the first games I've played since like the beginning of third edition. I think third edition has been around for a couple years. So I haven't played the game in like 2 years. So my game one was against Chase Lehman, who invited me to the event, which was awesome. It was a nice little like a bit of a refresher that we got paired up, and I was able to kind of like learn the game again with him there. And well, actually, let me talk about my list real quick. My list is super easy. Bread and butter, just orcs, iron jaws, played blood tubes. I brought a maw crusher with a dude on the maw crusher, and the maw crusher did damage when he hit people, and he had a destroyer artifact that gave him more damage. All there is to it. I ran 30 yard boys, 3 squads of 10. I ran 10 brutes, all in one squad. 6 gore gruntas, all in one squad. 2 war chanters, one with the get 'em beat and one with the fix and beat. And then a weird knob shaman. And I had the single drop battalion and then the weird knob shaman by himself, which we'll get into later. I was at 2,000 points exactly, so I brought Bloodlust as my triumph, but I did not get my triumph any of my games. So round one, I'm playing against Chase, who's running Cities of Sigmar, and he's got like this all cavalry list. It's like a couple wizards, and then all cavalry heroes, and then all cavalry battle line units. And we played, oh man, I don't remember the names of the scenarios, so forgive me on that, guys. But we had a scenario. It was one of them. It was quite the scenario that we played. All I remember was getting tabled. So I lost. I had a really good start where I was able to start shredding stuff and getting through and knocking stuff out, but I lost, which did not expect to win because, I mean, like I just, yeah, like I said, I didn't know really what I was doing, and Chase plays a lot more than I do. Somebody, I think one of my friends, James Matthews, had pointed out, he said, you are the person who has played the least amount of Age of Sigmar in this entire building. So, paraphrasing, of course, but not let alone the fact that it was not even recent when I had last played. So, anyhow's it. So, I got tabled. He killed everything. Chase played this really cool cities list with these horses, and I would move, and he'd get this counter charge thing, and he'd like jam me up, and he ended up just blowing a hole through my line and killing me. And it was rough. But it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Chase is super chill, super fun. I was really glad that my breaking the ice kind of game was against him because I got to relearn some stuff. And I don't think I really learned how to play Age of Sigmar until the 5th game, though. So there was still some stuff that I did not still understand till like game 4 or 5. And then the crummy part is like it's not going to do me any good because I'm not going to play again until 4th edition. At this point, I'm going to just do hobby projects and pick an army and play stuff, and we'll talk about that at the end too. But yeah, it's funny. So, anyways, game 2 was against a guy from Norman, who I think he plays at our Store Wizards Asylum down in Norman, and Lorenzo was his name. He brought this really cool Beast of Chaos list. So I do remember the mission on this one, but I don't remember the name of it. But it was 6 objectives, and we had like this corner deployment, and then the objectives were like stretched out across the battlefield. And the thing is if you were losing, you could choose 2 objectives to blow up. They would get removed from the game, and they would do damage to anybody on them. And then he was playing Beast of Chaos, which is really cool because they can have like almost their whole army like reserved. So he's playing Beast of Chaos with like 9 Bulgors and then Bellicor. And Bellicor was deployed. So anyways, I tried to do this castle thing because he told me he could deep strike, like come in and just off the board 9 inches or 7 inches with 1 unit. And I was like, cool, I'm going to try to screen you out. And then he did this thing where he can do like a blood taunt, and he can, if he passes this like spell basically, he can move a unit 2d6 inches straight in a line. And he picked my Maw Crusher, and he moved it 9 inches out of my line, out of my army, and then he deep striked 9 Bulgors 7 inches away from it, made the charge, and then killed my Maw Crusher turn 1. And then he got the double turn and killed all 6 of my Gorgruntas the next turn. So by the end of the game, he ended up tabling me. That's going to be a common trend that you guys will hear me talk about. He tabled me. And it was actually really cool, though, because it was like, whoa, this army's got this cool trick. Everything kind of fell into place for him. And I mean, he could have failed the charge and he would have lost the game. Like, pretty much. If he would have failed that charge, he would have lost the game. My whole army would have killed his biggest threat. And then I would have just ran home with it all. And so it was cool to get to see his army work. And he ended up winning. I don't remember the score, but that's something else, too, is the scores are... I don't understand the scores really in Age of Sigmar, other than like we got our objectives, and then there's like a battle tactic, and then there's a grand strategy. And I did not get my grand strategy any of the games. I guess it's part of my list. My grand strategy was to slaughter the sorcerers, so I'd have no wizards, including my own, on the battlefield at the end of the game. Something I noticed was I should have just played down. I should have just not had my wizard, because then I could have got my grand stratagem a lot easier in several games. And then also I could have had Bloodlust. Oh no, I could have got a Triumph. And I'd have a 1-drop list, which in Age of Sigmar, if you are the first person done deploying your army, you get to choose who goes first in the first round. So some really big upsides to that. Anyways, so congrats to Lorenzo. He got that W. It was a really close game though, because I was still running away with the objective lead. I was just claiming all the objectives, and he was having to blow them up. It came down to a single turn, I think, where I didn't get my battle tactic, and then he ended up winning because of that. So it was pretty cool. It was a cool game. Game 3 of the last game of day 1 was against Cody, who is on the Sparkle Motion team up in Kansas, though. He's one of our Kansas branches. Yeah. He was playing Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and this was the game that really reminded me of some of the cheese that Age of Sigmar can have. His whole army had like a 6-up ward say that he could spend points to make a 5-up. He got 9 command points a turn, and I only got like 2 or 3. His army had a bunch of abilities to make them like -1 to wound and negative to hit. He could do like some really good spells that couldn't be unbound. His army was just super good. And we played a scenario with like 3 objectives in the middle of the board, and that was really, there was just 3 objectives in the middle of the board. And the Maw Crusher went into 4 Morghast with full kit. Like, we went out after him. I popped my once per game destroyer weapon, and I killed 2 of them. And then they ran away, and then the Maw Crusher died to Krokanos or Karanos, whatever their main big leader guy is. And so he ended up winning big time. The Maw Crusher died a lot before he could really get to do anything. And he's my general, and he has like no defensive tech. So it's like, if he died, I lost the game pretty much anytime. As soon as the Maw Crusher died in any of the games I played, I proceeded to just start losing big time. So game 4 was against another old friend of mine, Paul, who he's from the old times. Him and I played back in 2nd edition a lot, and he was from one of our rival teams in Oklahoma. And we got to play. He was playing Idneth Deepkin. He brought like 60 of these archers, 20 thrall melee dudes, the flying turtle, the dude riding the like eel king guy. That's his main character. And these 2 dudes that got to do this really cool thing where they brought D3 plus 3 models back every turn. So his whole army was basically designed to just shoot you off the board. And if you got into something, he would just heal everything back. So we played a scenario with 6 objectives, 3 on each side of the board, kind of evenly spaced out. And if you ever had more than 2 units on an objective, on a 4-up, everybody in that circle would take D3 mortal wounds, and you'd roll per unit. That only happened a few times, but that game was actually pretty close. It came down to a turn where if I could have had he won priority and killed my Maw Crusher. But if I could have had the Maw Crusher go in, the Maw Crusher would have killed probably an entire unit of dudes, maybe even more. So it'd be like that. But he killed the Maw Crusher with his tons of shooting he had, and I lost the game. And then in game 5, I played against another fellow from Kansas, Josh, who was playing, you never guess it, orcs. He was playing Big Wog, and that's the combination of all the orc factions into one. His leader was this dude on a vulture, and he cast really good magic. And I'm loving doing this event review because I don't know hardly anything about this game, but I went and played, and that's kind of what's funny about the whole weekend is like this was me the whole weekend. People were like, "You want me to explain what my army does?" I was like, "It won't matter, dude. Keep going. I'm just here to roll dice and punch people." And so and it was fun. I had an absolute blast. But Josh and I's game was actually probably the closest and the most fun. I think we had single-digit models left alive by the end of the game. He ended up tabling me, but it came down to so yeah, we played a scenario with like 4 objectives and like a cross, and whoever was going second each turn got to pick which 2 objectives counted for scoring, and then the other 2 did nothing. So I had a pretty close game, and it came down to a turn where I didn't get my battle tactic off, and I was just running out of good battle tactics to pick. And then another turn right after that where he won the priority and was able to kill my Maw Crusher. He had like 16 out of his 18 wounds. He was able to kill my Maw Crusher before I could get in on his big Vulture guy. And if I would have won that roll, I probably would have killed his Vulture guy and possibly would have won. So, very close game to me. It was a lot of fun, though. And that was every single one of my games. I had a blast in every single one of my games. Every one of my opponents was so fun. I went 0-5, and I still think I had a great weekend. I had a lot of fun. I really did. Nick gave out a bunch of really fun awards. He did, of course, like first. He did overall, like first, second, third, and then like best painted and stuff like that. But then he also had a bunch of like really like random fun awards to help give away the prizes. And it was like stuff like who drove the furthest? Okay, well we're giving you a gas card. And then like for me, I live the closest to the store. And he was like, "All right, you live the closest. You get the hop, skip, and the jump board. So you get to pick something off the table." I got a cool chess clock, which I've never owned a chess clock, but it's something that I've needed multiple times. So I'm glad to get that. I can use that for a ton of games. But then also, there was stuff like who lives closest to the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium, or just stupid stuff like that. And I thought that was really fun. And then like the person who ended up winning the whole event was Marcus from Dallas. I don't remember Marcus's last name, but and he ended up winning it with Sons of Bahamut, and it was a really cool Sons of Bahamut army. It was I was talking to him about a little bit, and I should have got a photo. He had a Sons of Bahamut army where each of the Gargants, the Mega Gargants, was modeled after one of the Death alliances. So like Ossiarch Bone Reapers, Night Haunt, um, Flesh Eater Chords, and then Soul Blight Gravelords. They looked really, really, really good. They looked super good. So he definitely deserved it. I'm pretty sure he won 5-0, and then he had probably one of the best painted armies there, if not the best painted army there. So he got a really cool Warhammer, which is awesome. I love cool trophies like that. I love trophies that are like neat little things rather than like just a trophy. So after that, several other people did well. I don't remember their names or the order, but I know Joe Vucic, which is one of our local guys, got I think second. James Matthews, I believe, got third. Another one of our Sparkle Motion guys. I mean, if that's not the right order, I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember exactly, but it was really cool. I had a lot of fun, and it was really encouraging to see a community that I don't necessarily say I have a bad record with, but I don't really have a good record with. I kind of feel like I maybe bailed on them a little bit to try other games, but to see them welcome me back and be excited to have me, I feel like so many people enjoyed talking to me. Really, we're glad that I was there, and I'm just really glad that I got to go to this event. And it's made me excited more for potentially getting back into AOS next edition. And so I've done a kind of a thing where, and I've narrowed it down to less than this, but also I haven't. Like everything's still on the table. I want to kind of get an army picked out and then started on before AOS 4 comes out. And so I'll be talking to some of the guys about stuff and keeping up to date on the releases and probably start a hobby project. And I can't play every week, especially with like the night it's on is the night that I host another game. So I can't play all the time. And then I also, but I still want to try and play, especially before tournaments, and then go to tournaments. And so it'll be cool to do AOS 4 and try it out and have an army and just have a really cool army piece to have ready to go and then be able to play it stuff. So I'm kind of what I did is I went through each of the Grand Alliances and I picked 2 armies that I liked from each Grand Alliance, just solely based off of the aesthetic of the models and then kind of like their historical play styles. So I'll just share them with you guys and I'll kind of list the ones that I'm leaning towards the most. So for order, I went with Seraphon and Cities of Sigmar. For death, I went with Flesh Eater Courts and Soulblight Gravelords. For chaos, I went with Maggotkin of Nurgle and Slaves of Darkness. And then for destruction, I went with I don't even know their official names, but goblins, and then Auric Maw Tribes or Auric War Clans. Sorry, Ogre Maw Tribes is the other one. Auric War Clans. And right now, Soulblight and Seraphon seem to be the top. So I'm leaning towards those the most, but I'm gonna go through each model line meticulously and look at each kit and see which one I like the most kits from, and kind of go from there. So, anyways, that's not relevant to the tournament. That's just me talking about more stuff that you guys are gonna get to see me paint. So, yeah. So I don't know. We'll probably do some. I won't do these for 1 days and stuff, but anytime I go to like a 2-day event, I'll share them just like I always have. And I'm excited to see what maybe Age of Sigmar has for me on the horizon. Maybe there's something that that's around the corner for me to enjoy. So I had an absolute blast at the Taxman Cometh GT here in Oklahoma in Edmond at Edmond Unplugged, hosted by Nick and the Sparkle Motion team. I had an absolute blast, and I'm looking forward to some more fun times with those guys. Anyhow, guys, I'll see y'all around. Thanks for watching, and can't wait to hear from you guys the next time. Bye.